What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at AMOONGUSS as a safe swap. It's going to be a safe swap on a team with Morpeko and Talonflame. We've seen this core before. AMOONGUSS also covers Morpeko's weaknesses pretty well, given that it is a poison and Morpeko is a dark. Usually those two pairings cover each other really well. The only issue with pairing it with a poison is that it's usually weak to ground. And so is Morpeko. So we have the grass subtyping of AMOONGUSS, and it adds some bulk to this team. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. Okay, right away we see a Swalot on the lead. This is a pretty okay lead. Obviously they do have super effective mud shots here, but we have neutral aura wheels. Psychic Fangs is super effective, but it's not going to do nearly as much damage. But at this point we have put them into Psychic Fangs range if we want to. That being said, they're just going to come in with a Azumarill after we shield up that sludge, and we're going to Psychic Fangs to transition back into the electric type here. And we are going to commit the second shield because we have a basically double boosted Morpeko at this point. Not really, but we're single boosted and their defense is lowered once. This time I bait with a Psychic Fangs, and that actually puts them in another Psychic Fangs range while I'm in the dark form here. And this actually does KO from that range. And now, what is that third Pokemon in the back? Or they come back with the Swalot. They're going to go back in the Swalot. We can make it to another Psychic Fangs. This is 1x boosted. It's super effective. It would KO. And at this point, we can just come in with our Talonflame. They have no shields remaining. What are they going to do? We can make it to a Brave Bird here. We can eat any one charge move here. Not too worried about it. We can even go for an extra fast move into the Brave Bird. Will this be enough to KO the Guzzlord here? It does, and then we're just one Incinerate away from a Fly, and we are able to get to the Fly. Fly from the red easily KOs the Swalot, and we're able to take that game. I actually really like the core of the Swalot Guzzlord core my opponent was using, but unfortunately it didn't work out for them. Another bad lead. We switch right into our AMOONGUSS, and they respawn with a Bastiodon. So absolutely huge that we came in with our AMOONGUSS and not our Talonflame there. But this just kind of shows the neutral play that AMOONGUSS has. We do have neutral Grass Knots, and these Astonishes are adding up on the Bastiodon. Not as much as their Smackdowns, but considering the bulk difference, we're doing okay in this matchup. And we actually grab a shield, and at this point I'm just going to go for the foul play. Because they could have thrown a charge move there, and that does absolutely nothing, but they're still forced to throw their energy, so we will take it in the ones. That is a-okay. And what that actually does for us is we can overfarm here, and it looks like this was the first match where I was still on Seed Bomb. Ignore that, you should be on Psychic Fangs. This was from the Scroll Cup. I was on Seed Bomb. But we actually transition now into the dark form here, and we can either knock this out or, oh my god, I didn't think they were gonna let that go, and it's a Wiggly in the back. And unfortunately for my opponent, the most common core breaker for Wiggly plus Mud Slap is Talonflame. And we have it here. All we have to do is make it to back-to-back flies, and we have, so at this point the game is over. I did not expect them to let that go, but I'm glad they did, because that did an absurd amount of damage, especially after once boosted there, and it's super effective, just incredible. Into the next match, we've got a Dusclops on the lead, our first good lead. What are they going to get out to? They're going to get out into Clefable. We have two good answers. I decided to come in with the Talonflame here, just because I think I can always come out with some energy here. And they actually full send a Moonblast, which is resisted, but it does more damage, and then they just go for the Swift. Swift isn't enough to KO, so I let that go, and at this point I'm at back-to-back flies, so I can just go over back-to-back flies. I actually grab a shield. They opt for the extra Fairy Wind instead of throwing, which is fine. We make it to a second fly, and they double shield. Can they make it to 2 Swifts before we make it to another fly? No, they cannot. So we're actually going to go for this third fly, fly is enough to KO, so we keep switch and have a 2 shield advantage, so my opponent just resigns the match, and we were able to take that game. Marowak, another bad lead. Yeah, Morpeko, not great at getting good leads. And they actually stay in with the Marowak here. And we are able to get up to a Grass Knot, and then they come in with a Cradily. So they clearly did not have a good response for the AMOONGUSS. We are able to get to the Grass Knot. They actually shield that up, so I decided to just throw the foul play because I want this chip before they debuff my attack. It looks like that was a CMP tie, so they just let that go. Rock Tomb, at this point, we kind of just have to let it go. And they are going to get a perfect Bullet Seed farm down, which is super unfortunate, especially because now we're going to have to take a charge move on our Morpeko here. It doesn't KO, but it does put us in range for another Rock Tomb. Looks like they're not going to be able to get the Bullet Seed farm down either. And at this point, we've chipped. I think we just have to let this go and go 2 shield Talonflame. Our Morpeko doesn't really have play in the front anyways. 1 Incinerate is enough to KO the Cradily, which is nice. And they have their own Morpeko in the back. They try and go for a fly catch. They are unsuccessful, but we are forced to throw some energy before they make it to a move. And they do just let that go. And at this point, it's a race. They are probably just going to start baiting with Psychic Fangs, but yeah, that's immediately what they started doing. I probably should have called a bait there, but we're only 1 more Incinerate away, and we still have 1 more shield in play. So can they get to a Psychic Fangs plus an Aura Wheel? I'm saying they're not at back-to-back moves here, so I'm shielding the move, just clicking the fly. They are not quite at the move, and therefore this fly, even though it's resisted damage, Morpeko is glassy. We'll take out the Morpeko, and we're able to take that win. Clawitzer in the lead. Morpeko just cannot catch a break on the lead. Either way, we come in with our AMOONGUSS, and they are staying in this matchup to chip with a Sludge Bomb. You're going to find that's pretty common. A lot of my opponents just didn't have a great answer in the back, so they just kind of stayed in. This Clawitzer is actually staying in, so 1, they either don't have a response in the back, or 2, they have a second answer to Morpeko in the back. At this point, I know I can live a second Sludge Bomb, so I will let this go. Poison Sting is only neutral, so they're not going to get to it. I do have to throw the move right away, or else they would be able to outpace, or potentially throw in CMP. And we do get that move. They realize they're not going to get the farm down, so we are just going to let this go. We grabbed a shield, and now we can just come in with Talonflame, shield once if we want. We don't need to because it is just a Sludge Bomb. We've seen it's the Sludge Bomb, and that does about 50% of the Talonflame, and we get the full Incinerate farm down. Now, what is in the back? It is a Greninja. They're already down shields. There's no point in baiting here. 1 fly won't be enough, but 1 Brave Bird is enough to nuke that Greninja, and it's a Pangoro in the back. Here comes a super effective fly. They shield that. Too little, too late, opponent. You have to get to 3 charge moves before I can make it to 1 Aura Wheel, and that is just not happening. They full send the close combat. Me calling a bait was their only win condition there. I think pandas just eat bamboo, but this one's going to eat an Aura Wheel today. And the Aura Wheel is enough to KO the panda, and we're able to take that win. Okay, Magcargo in the next match. Oh, my opponent looks like they may have lagged or were AFK. It's hard to tell because of the when that charge move or when that fast move was coming through, but they actually shield up the first Aura Wheel because they want to debuff my attack, but it also boosts our attack, so we're always going to be kind of at even here. We are able to make it to a second Aura Wheel, and they are going to be able to grab the second shield from us as well, but we can always take this in the 2s if we need. And am I going to do that? Yes, I am. I do not have any Pokemon that are good against this in the back, and it's actually a Sableye in the back, so I overfarm as much as possible. I probably could have gone 1 more Thundershock, but yeah, and it's just quite not enough to KO, so I have to go for the Psychic Fangs in order to get this knockout. And we are able to get the knockout. In comes the Magcargo, and at this point, I think I just have to come in with my AMOONGUSS and eat the overheat. No, I'm going to catch the overheat onto my Talon. That was probably the only win condition I had left. Overheat still does about 50%, but we get to the charge move on CMP. We have to Brave Bird. Fly and Brave Bird are both resisted, but Brave Bird does KO from this range, and it is just the Serperior in the back, and we are able to outpace, get to the Fly after 2 Incinerates there, and we are able to take that win. So that overheat catch really brought us back into the game. Sandslash on the lead. This is actually a good lead, even though they have a ground coverage. They are not a ground type, and we actually pace the exact same Aura Wheel to the Ice Punches. And because Sandslash is just not bulky enough to eat one Aura Wheel, they are forced to shield that first move up, which means we can always win this matchup in the 2s. Or any shield scenario. They try and go for a catch. I actually hold my energy. I don't know if you saw that. And they come in with a Azumarill in the back. And at this point, I can just get to the super effective electric Aura Wheel. Are they going to shield this up is the question. No, they're going to completely sacrifice the Azumarill. So Morpeko is absolutely running away with this game. They come back in with the Sandslash. I am just going to go for a Psychic Fangs bait here, expecting them not to also just sacrifice their Sandslash, and they do shield that up. Does that mean I can make it to a second? It does. So this Psychic Fangs will connect. It probably won't KO, even though we're like double boosted and their defense is lowered because it's resisted, but it does get the KO. And it's a Golisopod in the back. Could I have stayed in with my Talon, just shielded once, and taken them out with a Fly? Yes, but why would I do that when I could just come in with a Moongus, eat a charge move, get to this Grass Knot, enough to KO the Golisopod, and they're going to get Astonished farm down before they even have a chance, so they just resign the match. Another Sandslash lead. So we just saw this one. We're going to play it out the exact same, and because it is so commonly paired with the Azu in the back, we are probably going to do the exact same thing. Oh, and they actually catch the first Aura Wheel. I didn't even see that onto their Goodra. But I actually make a really smart play is I re-bank the Aura Wheel because I know they can't outpace. And then I come in with the AMOONGUSS here because their charge moves, if they're on Aqua Tail and Thunder Punch, are all resisted. So I can actually just go for the full Astonished farm down. And we are able to get that. Can I get this foul play off on the Sandslash? I can, which is really nice. And then I can actually throw back-to-back here, just getting to one more. And it looks like I did not see a Shadow Claw sneak, so they either caught again or they threw on CMP. And no, I guess I just didn't see it sneak. They realized they're going to get farmed down. I tried to make a foul play. I'm unsuccessful. But because I banked an Aura Wheel earlier, I actually have an energy lead here, and they have no ability to farm down. So that basically was my win con in that matchup. Able to make it to the Aura Wheel. My opponent does shield that up. I think I'm just going to go for one more and throw on CMP, and I do. I should have thrown the Aura Wheel here, but I actually just opt for a Psychic Fangs. But they do shield that up either way. Maybe thinking I wouldn't be able to, oh, I mean, I'll let this go because I'm worried about a snipe. So if they grab that last shield, they are going to get to a charge move here, but they are energy dry, which means, and they're one Incinerate away from death. So my opponent makes a really smart play. They throw one Shadow Claw, defer the energy onto their Sandslash for it to KO, and then they throw the Ice Punch to snipe. But unfortunately, I come out with a move loaded, so my opponent doesn't have a win con because they're just like one short away from getting that energy. In the next match, we see a Diggersby safe switch, so we meet them with a Talonflame. They go for the resisted Scorching Sands. I so badly want a purified Diggersby. I want to build a return Scorching Sands Diggersby so bad. It goes like 30 and 15 in the current meta. No one is using it though because it's really hard to get, because I haven't even seen a normal type grunt in ages. But either way, just playing out this matchup, all of the charge moves are resisted. Letting both charge moves go. Somehow we get an Incinerate plus a Fly in, even though they have a 4-turn move. That is not how the game should work. Granted, their Pidgeot is up against my Morpeko either way, but they give me extra farm for some reason. And then it's a Swampert in the back. So this game is won. My opponent just doesn't know it yet. We actually grab a shield, maybe anticipating an Aura Wheel. and then I try and throw on CMP with a potential Hydro, but they do not throw at this point. This is an Aura Wheel coming their way, and we've grabbed both shields, so this game is over. Unable to make it to a third Aura Wheel, so just going to settle for the Psychic Fangs. This will do some decent chip. Actually, wow, that does a lot of damage to the Shadow Swampert, and at this point they're in like 2 Astonished farm down range. I can even let this go. 1 charge move from Swampert won't KO. It is the Sludge. They're going to go for another, but we just saw that didn't do enough, so we're going to no shield the second. We are able to get the 2 shield flex of my opponent. Unfortunate that they got like 2 turn lag on when they brought in that Pidgeot, but I think we were going to win that either way. Bad lead in the next match. We have a Galarian Weezing. And so we're just going to come in with our AMOONGUSS is our safe swap. They're going to chip, and then they're going to come in with a Cradily. And unfortunately, because they chipped, they are going to be able to keep alignment, especially when they shield the first, but at least we did grab a shield, and I don't believe a Rock Tomb will be enough to KO from this range. So I let it go, and it isn't, and I can even make it to a second Grass Knot, and they're never going to be able to Bullet Seed farm me down because it is double resisted. It doesn't do much damage. The Grass Knot connects. They do throw right before I make it to a foul play. I could try and shield and come back in, but instead I decide they're low enough. I'm going to go for the Incinerate farm down. Shield once. My attack will be lowered, but I will have an energy advantage. And I come out loaded with energy. They have a Marowak in the back, no baits here, full sending the Brave Bird. This won't be enough to KO because they're the non-shadow, and it doesn't. But that actually lets me get to a fly, and now these Mudslaps are adding up. They actually shield that up, which is kind of surprising because they didn't align it against my Morpeko, and I will be able to outpace even if they bait with a Bone Club here, and they do, but I still am able to outpace. Make it to the fly. This should be enough to KO, and it is, and it's just the Weezing in the back. I try and go for a catch here, but I do not get it. But 1 Sludge will not KO from this range, so they better hope they have a nuke, and they don't, because now I'm going to make it to the Aura Wheel. Aura Wheel, no shields remaining on the Weezing, KOs the Weezing, and we were able to take that game. So loads of bad leads, but still coming out on top with Morpeko. That just shows you the strength of this Pokemon. Cradily on the lead. This is a tough lead because we kind of are ABA weak to this. And I should probably, I mean, they throw an alignment, so I kind of just have to let that go. I let the first Rock Tomb go because I know I will be able to outpace. So I'm just going to go for the resisted Aura Wheel there. At this point, I wonder if I go for a a neutral boosted Aura Wheel here, or if I go for Psychic Fangs. I would recommend going for Psychic Fangs here because they're always going to shield, I say, as this one actually no shields. And they actually do take it in the zeros, but it was close, and it's a Feraligatr in the back. I tried to get an energy lead on my Talonflame, but I have to get immediately out of that matchup. They don't even build up to the Ice Beam. They only build up to a Crunch, so I actually let that go. They do get the defense drop, of course, but now we're able to make it to a Grass Knot, and they actually shield that up, but then they throw an alignment, giving me a Astonish in for free, so now I can outpace to a foul play, and I can throw this foul play right before they make it to their next move, and this will be enough to KO the low HP Feraligatr, and it's a Azu in the back. I maybe should have stayed in with my AMOONGUSS, but because 1 turn takes a switch, I can throw immediately when I get to the fly. And their charge moves, even though the best they can throw is a neutral charge move here with Ice Beam and Play Rough, unfortunately are going to add up, especially with these bubbles. So I kind of just have to go for the fly. Are they going to make it to another move? Yes, they are. But they are now at 0 energy. They are completely energy dry, and bubbles are resisted. All I have to do is watch for a catch. I wait the turn, make sure I see the bubble come through, and it does, even though my game didn't update. And there is the Cradily in the back. I can get the Astonished farm down for the win before that Bullet Seed does, because it is double resisted, and we're able to take the win. So yeah, that is AMOONGUSS as a safe swap. As you saw, it was very neutral. It's also super strong into Cradily, and you're going to see loads of Cradily in these coming weeks. Cradily is absolutely everywhere. It is super strong. It makes sense. but Amoonguss is a great answer. Just hitting for neutral damage across the board, resisting the grass knot, resisting the bullet seed. They can't two-shot, so they also can't get the farm down, so they're forced to throw extra energy. So yeah, it's just a super strong safe swap, and it honestly pairs so good with Morpeko and Talonflame. Like, this core is insanely strong. I highly recommend that you try it. But yeah, that's going to be it from me in this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.